Guys, this is the last activity that we're going to do for the year, and it is a graded assignment, so make sure you do it. It's just a cool activity to show you some of the things that you can do with polar equations, something that we didn't get to as far as testing goes. It's a little bit advanced, but it lets you kind of dig in and discover some of the cool things that we have here. So in this video, I have my website, my Chrome open, and then I have the instructions to this activity. So I'm just going to split screen that really quickly. And you can see that actually I'm using Desmos. So Desmos.com, we're going to use that because it gives a really neat visual and it's pretty easy to work with. So what I have here on the left-hand side is basically a picture that's been created using polar equations. So I actually at the top here I have two different ones. It says R1 and R2. The subscripts there are just to differentiate between the two equations. When we do enter these in Desmos to represent our graph, make sure that you do not put the subscripts for 1 and 2 that you just put R, because it will Desmos will read that incorrectly. Okay, even though we can add that, we don't want to. So I have two separate graphs here, and I also have here at the bottom, I have the domain for theta. And that's important to give the domain because if you let Desmos use the original domain that it uses in general, it goes like from 0 to 12 pi. It's crazy. I mean, obviously, one time around is 2 pi. So we want to limit that domain. And we will do that here in a minute. So what we're going to do in this activity, it says you're going to use Desmos to create the graph of your equation. It says your task is to find a creative polar that will resemble something more than a graph like the butterfly on the previous page. Do not use the same graph that I just have in the example. Let's get creative with this. You can take something maybe that you find online and play with it and change some of the parts and see what happens, that kind of thing. But let's get creative with this. It really shouldn't take you that long. You're going to use Desmos to create the graph of your equation. And then you're going to take that graph and you're going to create a Google slide for me. And that's what you're going to submit to me. But the Google slide should include a title, a colorful polar graph, which you will take straight from Desmos here. You want to include its equation and the domain of the equation. And it says share the link to the slide on the assignment page. All right, so just showing you here how to put your graph in. I have this, I'm going to do the top one here. Well, actually, let me go back just a little bit. I'm going to first go over here to this little wrench here that says graph settings, and I'm going to change to a polar graph. So where it says grid, highlighted in the original one, it is a rectangular graph. I'm going to go to polar graph, okay? And then notice also at the bottom that it says radians, okay? We're going to keep that in radians just like normal because theta in our little butterfly graph is also in radians, okay? So I'll get out of that and we're going to put our equation in. So I have R equals cosine, and I want to do theta. So I'm going to go to ABC here at the bottom, and on the far right hand side it gives you the option of putting in theta, okay, times E to the, so I want to go back here to the 1, 2, 3 button, and this is going to allow me to put an exponent of cosine theta. And then I'm going to go minus 2 cosine theta for theta. I'm going to cursor over, or you can use your arrow key if you want to, minus sine, and I just type, you can just type it in, and in parentheses I'm going to do theta, so go back to theta, and then I'm going to hit divide, and that's going to give me a fraction bar. And I want that to the 5th power, so I'm going to put an exponent of 5. And then you can see that it's giving me my domain for theta is 0 to 12 pi, and in the picture we want to go 0 to 100. So we're just going to type in 100. And I'm going to go over to my graph, and I'm going to increase that size. You can either use the up or down, but you can see that's just one of the graphs. Okay, then if I put in the second one, and again my exponent button, cosine theta, and really the equations are the same except for the very beginning. And I'm going to go theta divided by 12, again, to get that fraction. And I messed up. It's okay. I can go back to my back button, thank goodness. And 5. And I actually have another graph. I just want to make sure I got this whole thing in here. And so we also want to make that domain to 100. If you click on, so I've actually have both graphs on here at the same time. If you click on either of the little graph picture here, it will hide it, but it won't get rid of it. Okay, so there is just the purple one, and there's the black one. Now, if we want to change, we can go up there to the little settings button and we can make it some different colors here. Let's say I wanted to use red. And for this one, I want to use blue. And so now I've changed the colors. So there's the blue one. Maybe I just want the red one. And you can see what that's going to look like. Okay, so once you get that done, and you can see, and you're going to have your own equation, like I said. I'm going to close out of this and look at just Desmos here. And if you want to make it a little bit darker, you can go to projector mode, and that just makes it a little bit bigger. You can zoom in and out from there. But you don't have to. Okay, it just enlarges it a little bit. So then I want to go to my Google Sheets. So I'm going to go to Google, and I'm going to open up a Google slide. And we'll create a blank here. And so it starts out with the title page. You can totally use that. You can, if you want to make it like, let's say I'm going to do a blue one, okay? You can move your title pages around and so forth. So this one, it looks like a butterfly. And so I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to get rid of this. And I want to include my equation and so forth. So I'm going to go back here to Desmos. And I can scoot that over a little bit. And I'm going to do some screenshots. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do Command-Shift-4, and that allows me to do my equation and my domain at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to keep that. Throw this up on desktop real quick. And then I'm going to do another one, Command-Shift-4, and I'm going to do a picture of my graph. And I'll put that in my desktop. So now when I go to my presentation and I'm going to add an image, okay? Insert image, upload from computer. In my desktop, I have my screenshots here. Let's see, here's my equation, so I'll do that. I'm just going to kind of put him up here out of the way a little bit. And then I'm going to add my graph. So I'm going to add another image. And there he is. Okay, so once you've got your title of it, probably what it looks like. You've got your equation and your domain. You have your graph. And actually, I want you to add one more thing, a little text box here. And I want you to include your name. So Mrs. Bradfield. Just so I have that. And so you can change, if you want to, you can change the font, you can change the size. I'm going to go crazy with the font and do Pacifico, okay? And there you go, you have your Google slide. So once you get that done, you go to share. So this is my document, it's Butterfly by Mrs. Bradfield. And I'm going to save that, and then I want to get the shareable link. There's my link. I've selected just so I can view it, and we copy link, and that is what you're going to submit in your assignment page. Okay, pretty easy. Get creative, and at the end, hopefully I can put together one big slide presentation for you guys and everybody can see what people have done. Okay? Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing what you guys can do.